We are with Maurizio Salvati here in Italy after a long travel from Australia, Melbourne. He left Italy in first year of 19th, if I know well.
1991.
1991.
16 years ago.
16 years. Still there, living there, with the family there.
Yeah, family there, with the partner, de facto partner. A son now, 6 years old, and working full-time as a photography teacher.
It's interesting for our people audience knowing how did you start your activity as a photographer in Australia when you left Italy and came for the first time in Melbourne.
First I did some freelancing work, and then I went back into school. I did a diploma in photography and then a degree in visual arts, and then eventually I got into teaching, done some teaching course, and basically that's how I started.
And nowadays you are as a photographer by yourself, and you work for an agency, fixed for an agency.
My teaching work is full-time, it's my main profession, but I do some freelancing work at the moment, but mainly I try to develop my own personal work, my personal photographic work, and just trying to develop ideas and work conceptually as much as possible, and yeah, basically that's what I do.
Okay, let's come to your exhibition here in Italy. We have just seen your work about your family album. Let me say in black and white and in color. Black and white was a little bit different work from your family. Looking at this work, it seems to be a link, like a bridge between your origin, Italian origin, your new life in Australia. Is it true?
Yes, it is in the sense that my partner is born in Australia from Italian family. So when I went to Australia, I was welcome in a family, and of course the house and the world around it was basically 1950 Italy transported to Australia. So therefore it was a very easy transition from me up to there, and of course, being there and missing everything that is Italian and Roman, so I was attracted to these cultural elements in the family of my partner.
Okay, and so Australia, in our mind, in Europe, very far from Australia, we think that Australia is a free land, a lucky land, as you called. You can do everything if you can, of course. But really, I heard from you that Australia, in the neighbors, not in the centers, in big towns, like Europe 50 years ago, very not so not like the great city in Europe or in the United States. How did you live this difference between wide spaces, different life, and your origin from Europe?
Well, it was kind of a little bit different, of course, because that's much more space. Everything is bigger, but it's just you get used to it. It's just generally humans adapt to anything, and of course it seems a little bit more open to us, especially coming from Rome, from high density populated suburbs in Rome, and then go there, where everyone has got a house with a backyard with lots of land around, and it's much more open, much more freer. But at the same time, this space kind of limits, in a way, human relationship as well, that are completely different from what you can live in Rome.
And nowadays, how do you see Italy from so far?
Crazy. It's well, the thing is that I think that unfortunately Italy and Italians, they tend to.
Let's come back to your work. what I see nowadays in your exhibition is, as we told before, like a bridge between your origin and your new life. But what are you looking forward now in your new concept about the future, for instance?
Well, probably the more I work with photography, the more kind of attain to work with ideas in mind rather than just taking photos and hoping for the best. So I always try, I may start a project with an image and then try to develop an idea based on that, or based on some music or some writing or whatever. People's sentences, talking with someone, and then I try to develop, always try to develop the image with the idea and develop them together, and hopefully they will eventuate in something concrete.
So it's like a discovery, continuous discovery on coming from your life, speaking with people, looking some for, and what is the situation of photography in Australia? Here in Europe we are very different between country and country, and for instance in France photography is an art, and a big art. In Italy we are living so in a lower level, let me say. In Australia, what's the situation?
Let's say commercially it's kind of a little bit limited because the market it's small. But of course there are some great photographers that do fantastic commercial work. Artistically, probably there's a more tendency to support conceptual photography. So more like working with ideas and the work, even the work that isn't necessarily from photographer, maybe from visual artist. Visual artists, they use photography as a media to express the idea. So it's a little bit more that.
And which are the main topic in the subject, in the photographer from Australia? There are some specialities from Australia in photography art, some topics, some subject that they like the most.
I think there's a little bit of, there's a pretty wide sort of selection of photography. Of course, the traditionally from Australia, it's the landscape photography. Of course, Australia is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but also social work. But Australia being just one type of culture, probably let's say a photojournalistic work or a documentaristic work, it's a little bit limited. But as I said, it's probably mainly conceptual work.
Have you ever thought coming back to Europe?
Yes, I mean, I love to spend probably, I don't know, 6 months here, but unfortunately the reality is that unless you have a job in Italy, you are not going far. So, I mean, yes, if I can get a job maybe as a photographer, as a photography teacher, and then maybe for 6 months a year, that would be fantastic. But otherwise, yeah, I come on holiday and then I go back.
It's the best way to live in Italy, I suppose. And what could be your suggestion for a young man with the camera in the hands, coming to Australia and spending some time there to take pictures?
Well, I guess probably, as I say, like landscapes, right? I wouldn't suggest to take photos of people, because I don't think people there are really keen or very happy to have photos taken. But landscape. But what I generally say to my students is try to leave the images before without the camera, and then eventually, if you're really sure that that's what you want to take, then take it. But if not, just leave everything, your life, your experience in Australia, with your eyes.
There is one aspect that we don't know from Europe, and we have an idea of Australia, of maybe something right, something wrong, but there is something that we don't know. We have to go to visit if we go to Australia.
I think in Europe pretty much you got all the right informations about Australia. Of course, some aspects are specific to Australia, and probably they are not very much advertised outside Australia. Let's say some of the political conditions and so on, some social conditions of some ethnicity and so on, but it's pretty much it.